What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to my top 10 list. These are the best active board game companies that you can crowdfund. Thank you to my channel sponsor, Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Now, as always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos I make every single week, there is a link in the description below. Thank you so very much. Honestly, it's wonderful. Thank you. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, this is not going to be in order, and that's because something as big as this is so nuanced that there's not like a, well, this is objectively better because of this, and you can't just like point to one thing and be like, that's better than everything else this other company did, or some weird weighting thing or something like that. You guys know I don't typically believe in a lot of like numbers when it comes to like ranking things. Instead, I just want to talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be mentioning a company and then talking about why they are on the list, essentially, why they're great, why I would recommend backing their products, why they are a safe bet, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, and note that this doesn't mean that a company's perfect or that they haven't made mistakes or that, you know, there might be some issues or anything like that. We are all imperfect. All companies are imperfect. There is no perfect company out there. Sorry to burst your bubble. And there's no perfect person out there. And companies are made of people, and so it's a whole bunch of imperfect people. But look, these are great companies, and I don't want the comments to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you put this person on there. Instead, let's focus on the positive, at least for this video, and let me know what you would add to the list, what you would say also deserves a spot or that needs a shout out or something like that. Let's share that with everybody else, and specifically why. That's what I'm curious about, so I can be looking towards those companies and what it is they're doing, and then maybe even pushing that onto other companies to make the whole industry better. That's kind of the whole goal, right? So without further ado, first thing on the list is Chip Theory Games. This was an obvious inclusion, I think. They are pretty much synonymous with quality, both in their game development and in their production and in their professionalism on the crowdfunding space when it comes to campaign pages and updates and deliveries and communication and all that stuff and community outreach. They are one of the leaders in this space when it comes to that. And dear Lord, all of their games look gorgeous. I was this close to backing Cloudspire pretty much every time it came on Kickstarter. I mean, it just looks so good. And while they don't necessarily make the games that like really excite me, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't enjoy their games. They look like a blast, and they certainly look the most quality like I've ever seen. Like, they're very, very pretty, well-made games. Highly recommended. You pretty much can't go wrong with them. And with that, then there's also Awaken Realms. Awaken Realms is kind of like a shoe in there. They're not quite as high quality. They still kind of deal with E-Star, which isn't exactly a top tier leading manufacturer. But their art is like on point. It is like the best stuff ever. Their art is gorgeous. I just love looking at their campaigns. Their renders, the way they design their minis is interesting. You know, like detail is one thing, but design style is another thing, and that's timeless, right? And so that's really interesting. I love seeing them there. I love that they've pushed multi-part miniatures or textured bases and all that kind of stuff at an early stage, really moving the industry forward. I think that's great. They definitely have board game people in mind and really enjoy what it is that they do. Additionally, they do some really great campaigns when it comes to votes. They do a lot of different voting and a lot of incorporating of ideas and feedback loops and stuff like that. They're very good at listening to their backers and giving them exactly what they want. And that's also super cool and great. And they're financially secure. They're doing well. They have investors, and they have GameFound raking in the money and all sorts of, like, they are a safe bet pretty much always. And they have some big hits like Nemesis on their under their belt, I guess you could say. And so they are definitely a good company to do that. Now, also in Poland, Archon Studio. Now, this amazes me. It amazes me that Archon, of all companies, right? Formerly kind of in dealing with Protos and then split off and then now it's its own thing and had a rough start. Would have never been on a top 10 list for crowdfunding board games ever. And yet here they are. They make some fantastic games. Wolfenstein is wonderful. It really is quite nice. I would play that over Zombicide pretty much any day. And so that's great to see. I'm excited to see what else they have in store. They are just firing on all cylinders when it comes to what they're delivering, especially with stuff like Rampart and Dungeons and Lasers and stuff like that. They are making millions on their campaigns. There are people that are repeat backers every single time. The moment they launch, they are there, and you don't get that without delivering good quality product. At this point, they have even delivered early and exceptional value. You can still right now get Wolfenstein with all expansions for $120, $27 shipped to the US. That blows my mind. Those are Hips miniatures. They are beating everybody when it comes to how great of a deal you can get for a quality game. Like it's blows my mind. But they have outdone themselves continually. I'm excited what they have to do with Heroes of Might and Magic. I think that's going to be super cool. I'm definitely excited about that. And it's one of those companies. The growth from them, from having really crappy to meh games and kind of like shoddy quality to having wonderful quality and great deals and quality games and consistent delivery. It just, ever since Chronicle X has been delivered, they have just been on AAA the whole time. And that's really, really cool to see. And I'm glad I can feature them on this list, considering I never would have thought they would have been otherwise. So with that now is another indie. Now this is kind of cool. This is one I'm going to put on here that you won't hear anybody else mention a top 10. I don't know why I'm the only one that seems to talk about them, but the Red Joker also, I think, deserves a spot here. They do some great games. Oko Chronicles is fantastic, and the quality is better than most of their competitors. They are honestly really, really good. They deliver the product at a fair price. They deliver it fairly promptly. They have great engagement. They are one of the first companies to reach out to me after a review and ask, what other issues did you have? Can you tell us everything? How can we address that? There's an FAQ in the rulebook based off of my review of the prototype because they saw that there was some confusion around stuff and they wanted to make sure people understood that. So they literally changed their book based off of a reviewer's feedback just because they want more people to understand and play the game and enjoy it and stuff like that. It just wonderful quality product again, and completely like I don't know. I don't get how they don't get the limelight. I think it has to do with maybe how they run campaigns, like their campaign pages, their outreach, their marketing skills per se, because the stuff they're producing is fantastic, right? But that's the difference between that and something like CTG, right? That can, or Awaken Realms, that can really run a campaign as well. But trust me, if the Red Joker's making it, you're probably pretty interested. It's a safe bet. They're good stuff. That's what they are. So another indie, and this is like how indies should work. I mean, this is like textbook style, safe, like amazingly well done. Panic Roll Games. They did Townsfolk Tussle, and that's what they did. They're new. They did Townsfolk Tussle. They ran a campaign with a limited scope, and they said, okay, now we're going to print it, we're going to deliver it, and then we're coming out with expansions. It was a quality product, a very interesting game, a new take on things, definitely its own theme and style and lore, and just its own feel to the boss battler genre that makes it distinct among its brethren. And again, they delivered promptly, they delivered a quality product, and they did it safely. And now they're slowly branching out, and that's such a smart thing. They're not just exploding. They had success, but they didn't hire a whole bunch of people and get a huge office and buy Lamborghinis or whatever the heck that these companies do. Sometimes they were very smart with it, and definitely looked to be a safe bet going forward, and just a pleasurable experience when it came to their outreach, whether it was with content creators, whether it was in the comments or on their Facebook group or anything. If you go to any of those spots, you're going to see them interacting with their community, and again, that's a recipe for success. I feel anyway. I think that's great. Now, another one, and this is another company that reached out and wanted feedback, really wanted to know what issues were there, what I might have not mentioned, what like how to make things better. And they took my advice to the point where the quality of the product improved because of it. And I think that's just great. And that's Dragori Games. Dragori Games did Arena, and now they've done Tenaris, both the adventures and the RPG. They're RPG people at heart, the creators are. And so I'm glad they were able to make their own RPG. It's pretty much I imagine, a lifelong dream of theirs. And then, of course, Adventures looks to be, in my opinion, one of the runners-up for the best narrative board game experience. And that's because of all of the story bits inside the gameplay. But quality product, very well reviewed. Arena is fantastic. Quality over quantity without a lack of quantity. I mean, you don't get much better than that. They definitely have great outreach to their community, and they're constantly involved with that, whether it's in video, whether it's in text, whether it's just a silly little comment or something like that. They're always there. And that, again, it's just a safe bet. They've done well. They've grown smartly, it seems, and so they're a pretty safe bet, and looking to make one of the best games ever, as far as I'm concerned. I'm really excited for it, and I would recommend it to anybody. No holds barred. Now, another one, this one is actually kind of like, they've been around for a long time. They've made my favorite game ever, with my wife's favorite game ever, I should say, to super clarify that. But that is Monolith. Now, Monolith has had some rocky times, right, where they have made a mistake or two, mainly around Beyond the Monolith. But they reacted very strongly to that in a good way. They were humbled by it, and their company is now better poised to be more successful than it ever was before. That's because, again, they are lean, and so and they don't run a bajillion campaigns all the time. So they are very focused on delivering a specific small set of campaigns. Right, I think it's just one or two, right? And so, like, very, very focused on that. And they're very community driven to where they actually run a survey asking, what do you guys want? And you answer it, and then they make it. That's how they do it. That way they know that they're making stuff that'll sell, so they're very confident about that. They can be very aggressive on the pricing of that, and they're not the kind of people that would just try and rake in a whole bunch of money by inflating costs more than they need to be. And that's so nice to see, and it's just a great experience backing one of their campaigns. Tons of stretch goals that are well designed and already pre-thought out, and a good deal for your money. They've made some wonderful quality games as well. Some wonderful quality components, like a dual layer board that's actually like a clamp style thing, so that they can make every player board dual layer on the cheap, because it's just a sheet like a player board. You put it in there, it's now dual layer, instead of spending a ton of money dual layering all of these things. And it's just, they're running a smart business, and I think that's great. And they're making quality product. Conan is fantastic. They're improving on Batman. The Claustrophobia was wonderful. Mythic Battles is a great system. They just have so many successes, and they're in such a strong position. I couldn't not include them on this list. Now, another big one, and this is one that is kind of interesting because it's more a drive to and a passion that drives this company. That's Succubus Publishing. They did Madara. And if you didn't know, Madara, like the first campaign, funded quite well. But their game is so massive and so big and so huge, and they went so over the top. They did a voice-acted narrative game before it was cool, before Foreteller, before all of that. They were doing this. And so they were like no holds bar passionate about this story and about this experience and the job system, all that. And they ran out of money. It was way more expensive than they ever thought it would have been. The delays, everything like that, it was rough. And so they hustled. And they hustled for a year plus to make sure that they were able to deliver it, and they did. And then they said, now that we've done that, here's it again with an improvement, plus Act 2 and Act 3. Let's complete it all. And they got success from that and continue to see success from that because of that hustle, because they worked for it, because they didn't just expect the money to come in. They hustled harder than I think any other company I have publicly seen hustle. And I think that's just great to see them really try and do that and pour their hearts into that. And it's definitely a passion project. The quality of the cardboard, like the map tiles, is amazing. They have like a shiny finish to it, like a gloss finish to anything that's like wet. in there. So like rivers and, diamonds or, anything shiny, stuff like that, which is super cool. The miniatures, there's a lot of them. They're not the best quality, but they do also do resin versions of some of their characters. Those are actually very, very nice. And so overall, it's just a big box of passion. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. And they're actually making it and delivering it and communicating and all that other jazz, which is super cool. Now, there's only 2 more spots left. Okay. So the next one, and we'll have a conversation about the last one, but the next one is Shadowborn Games. They just did Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. They're coming out with another version of it. There's links that are relevant down in the description below, of course, but what can I say? I mean, again, when it comes to passion, when it comes to offering a good deal, when it comes to delivering quality, they check all the boxes. Okay. So they were very focused on introducing themselves into the industry in a positive way. And one of the ways to do that was to actually offer a very good deal, run a lower margin than normal so that everybody got a great deal. And you did, based off what you get with the scale of everything and the hips miniatures and all that kind of stuff. The quality of the writing, right? They actually have New York Times bestsellers writing the story, not like, the artist also wrote the story or something like that. Like these are legit people writing it that know what they're doing, and that's it. And it shows. It shows. It's really good with a celebrity voice acted cast with James Cosmo from Game of Thrones narrating it. Sounds fantastic. So really, really good there. They play tested to the end of the earth. I mean, it's super, super well done. And now they're coming out with another one, and I think that's great. Additionally, they did have an issue with shipping because they are such a big game and because they were writing the margins so low that and it's a first game. They haven't had any kind of build up and successful, different campaigns yet. And they were waiting. They weren't just spamming campaigns. And so they actually had to ask for a little bit in shipping. And the way they did it is a testament to just their passion for it. Whether it was the sincerity we saw in the video, whether it was the amount of transparency and financial data, whether it was the overly generous offer of 10% off their future games, all of that, they really care. And that's obvious. And it's a great quality product at a great price. So there's that too, of course. And they're listening to feedback. They are asking, what do you want in the second campaign? Now, they're not wanting to add scope. It's a feature complete game. And they're saying that. They're like, we're not trying to just spam you with crap, but how can we improve it? What can we offer that you would like? And again, it reminds me of Monolith with those surveys, just really asking. And I think that's great. It's awesome to incorporate your backers like that. So finally, the final one, and this one was the one I kind of really thought on, and that's because, and I've alluded to this a little bit with passion before, but along with passion, there's vision. There's a way to kind of just push the envelope in a way that hasn't been pushed before, to really, really not just do things bigger or better or anything like that, but different and unique and groundbreaking in that vision and what you're trying to do that stands it apart, right? I think a lot of people would view Dune like that for sci-fi. There's other epic sci-fis, right? There's other epic stories. There's other epic whatever, right? What makes Dune unique is how different it is, how visionary it is in its own world and its own landscape, along with how grandiose it is, right? That is Into the Unknown. Into the Unknown has done a few miniature things. They've done a smaller game. They've done one of my favorite game that I've ever played, Alien Trespass Odyssey. Fantastic when it comes to the interactions with the bosses and the story and the world and the lore and the experience of it and the map and everything about it. It just blows you out of the water. It's such a visionary look at what you can do, flipping combat on its head to where you're stronger when you're weaker, and epic combat moves, and it's just made almost tailored for me, I feel, with the hard co-op mechanics and all that. But their vision is so strong, it almost gets in the way, right? So they've now launched Kingdoms Forlorn, and people are struggling to keep up with them because they're just talking about this and that. And you're just hold on a second. And that sort of, not just passion, but vision, I really, really am amazed by. And every time I've played their stuff, even Kingdoms Forlorn, which had a smaller preview than Aeon Trespass Odyssey, which was a massive preview. That's almost no fair. It was an entire prelude campaign. But either way, like, it's just quality stuff. The components are quality. The art is fantastic. It's different. It's unique. It's amazing. And so if you want to just back something that, in my opinion, is as visionary, if not more, than something like Kingdom Death Monster, Into the Unknown is definitely there for you. And I think it's a safe bet. They were very successful every time they go on Kickstarter. I think they would have been more successful if they had waited a little bit on Kingdoms Forlorn, but that didn't happen. Hindsight 2020. Either way, I'm sure once Aeon Trespass Odyssey delivers, Kingdoms Forlorn will just continue to get funded as people realize how great of a thing this really is. So that's my top 10. That's it. That's 10 that I would hands down without question recommend to pretty much anyone. If you have anything to add to that, I would love to hear in the comments below. Share it with everybody else. Let people know what's great about these companies, what's great about these games. Let's celebrate that. We'll get to the drama and the news and the bad news and all that stuff. That all can come later. For today, let's focus on just this. And as always, if you have any feedback when it comes to a company doing something, whether good or bad, feel free to reach out to me any way you wish, whether that's Facebook or in the comments here or email or anything like that. As always, have a great rest of your day, guys. Seriously, take care.